Hi everyone, it's Amanda. Today I'm going to be doing a romance recommendation video for Touch Her and You're Dead. He's overpossessive, he's jealous, and he's just the man we need. If you have any other trope recommendations that you'd like to see, just let me know. But be sure to like and subscribe down below for more bookish content from me. I'd love to have you here. And let's just get straight into the unhinged heroes. So right off the bat, we'll start with my favorites that I haven't talked about in quite a while. And that is Find Me by Ashley Roztek. So I've talked about this one in my dark romance recommendations video a while back. But I wanted to plug it once again because I love this series and it just reminded me that I love this series so much when I bought the Fae Crate special editions, which are so beautiful. But this book series follows a girl named Shiloh, and her whole family was murdered in front of her, and the killer is still on the loose. So she's being hunted, and she's in the witness protection program. And she moves to this place, I think it's in Arizona, and her next door neighbors are the Stone brothers. And it is a why choose romance. It is hot. I think the boys are also on a swim team, which I love. We don't get a lot of swimmer sports romances. Now this isn't a sports romance by any means. It's a darker kind of thriller kind of romance, and I loved it so much. It has panic representation, nightmares. It's just so good, and it's actually a lot deeper than you would think. Like, you get an emotional connection with this book to your main character, and the guys in this book are also different and distinctive with their personalities. And yeah, this one is on the lesser unhinged side of things. All the brothers have different personalities, so there is one that's a little bit more on the broody side, but these guys are just really protective over Shiloh, so they deserved a spot on this recommendation list. And if you haven't read this series yet, highly recommend. But I will warn you, I am telling you right now, this book will have you up until 3 a.m. So that's a great one to start with, even if you're looking for something that is on the suspense side of romance and you haven't dabbled into that. That series is the way to go. Next up, we have a sort of rom-com mixed with darker elements slash unhinged hero vibes, and that is My Dark Romeo by Parker S. Huntington and L.J. Shen. This book was so funny, while at the same time having those touch her and you die vibes that you love so much in heroes. And he writes her name in blood, but also we're cackling. Like, I don't get it, but it was also so great and so funny. There's a group chat in this book that is hilarious, and I can't wait for the next book to come out. But anyway, in this book we follow Dallas and Romeo, and they enter a marriage of convenience, or rather a marriage of revenge. Romeo wants revenge against her betrothed, and they share a kiss that turns into this huge thing, because this world is kind of similar to Bridgerton vibes, where you're not supposed to kiss anybody before you get married and all this stuff. It's just so fun. It's so dramatic. If you want something that is just very drama filled but also funny, but it also has elements of dark romance, this. We also have a damaged hero, the best banter, because Dallas is not going to make this easy on him. Again, I was just laughing throughout this book. It's so dramatic. It takes that Romeo and Juliet inspiration and really runs with it, and it was just so fun. And he definitely will kill people for her, so that's good too. And we have a new nickname in this book, Shortbread. So that's another reason to pick it up. Then, surprise, surprise, we have an Emily McIntyre book, Crossed. I love so much. You guys know I love this one, but I love all of her books. So if you want Touch Her and You Die Rex, all of the Never After books will fit the bill. It follows a slow burn forbidden romance between priest Father Cade and Amaya, who also dances on this side as Esmeralda. It's a Hunchback of Notre Dame reimagining, and it's so delicious and nutritious and everything that you need in a Touch Her and You're Dead romance. Okay, he literally murders people in this book for our main character, and I'll accept nothing less. This book is scorching hot, even though we have to wait for the spicy scenes. It is so worth it. There is also deeper messages in here, and we love our villain even though he's a little bit unhinged. He also just so happens to be really sweet and nice and really good with Amaya's brother, who she takes care of. And there's a deeper message in this book while at the same time being that dark romance that we all love. Amaya is taking care of her neurodivergent brother, and the town is really mean to him. So she has to step in and take care of him when her mom is a piece of shit and leaves. And then she also has to deal with the town and their thoughts on her and her brother and just so many things. And Father Cade comes into town because he's supposed to rid this town of evil and kill all the sinners, you know, typical things. And he just becomes obsessed when he sees Amaya performing as Esmeralda at this club, and things go from there. It is so good. There's so much more to the story. There's a plot twist, and it's really fun. All of these books are super fun, but this one was my favorite just because the tension was so hot and the forbidden aspect, really good. And I don't even like priest romances usually because I just don't really like religion in my books, but this one proved me wrong. I don't know myself. Then we have A Dreadful by Greer Rivers. This is a Medusa Sweeney Todd reimagining, and it was so much fun. It's a mafia romance with a huge revenge plot as well. We follow Sever and Tally. Sever's actually already part of the Mafia family, but when he was a child, he was thrown into his uncle's like dungeon as like a power play. And so he met this young girl down there who was being abused and tortured, and they ended up having this friendship. So they had an escape plan that went very wrong, and the girl was mauled by dogs. So Sever is on the quest for revenge against everybody who ever wronged the girl he once knew. He is really beat up about this girl, and he's been on this revenge spree ever since. Then we have Tally, who is also on a revenge spree because she is the girl who is down there and she did not die. So you can see how this is going to play out, and you would think, okay, they'll just team up to have revenge, right? I don't know because he is on her list. So she wants revenge against him too because he left her. He left her to be mauled by dogs. So it has second chance vibes, but also friends to lovers, with a great plot where the characters are both very unhinged. They both do crazy shit, and it was really entertaining and fun. If you like this one, you would definitely like this author's other books, which include Phantom and Rouge, which are also inspired by other Broadway musicals. So there's a Mafia one for you. Speaking of Mafia, we also have Sinners Anonymous, which was another one that took me by surprise. We read it for classic literature and I absolutely loved it. In this one we follow Rory and Angelo. Now Rory is a little bit on the quirky side, so you might be annoyed because she's a little bit on the not like other girls spectrum and it's quite annoying sometimes. Like she swears in bird language and it's just kind of odd at first, but she grows on you. And then we have Angelo, who is the nephew of this guy that she's marrying. She's marrying this old man that's literally like 70 years old in order to save her father. And she thinks she's a bad girl, you know, she's done some horrible things apparently. And there's this phone in this town where you can pick it up and confess your sins into it, and it just goes into the world, you know. And she's been doing this for a long time. She just thinks she's a bad girl. But Angelo is part of this mafia family. He ends up coming back into town in this book. He actually turned his whole life around and got out of this kind of mafia world. But he's back and he is not a fan of Rory being around. He hates it, so it's slow burn enemies to lovers and forced proximity since she is so close to his uncle. And the best part is that he just really didn't want to like her at all. He's like, why is she irritating me so much? And yeah, I just love this one. I really need to continue on in this series too. This is a big series that follows other brothers in the family and stuff like that. But I've only read this one. Definitely recommend this one if you wanted a hero that doesn't know he cares so much for her and doesn't know why he's so overprotective of her and just doesn't want to like her. This one for sure. And he's just simply hot and the smut is really yummy. And the quotes in this book tell me a sin. Then we have a fantasy romance on the list. This one is a Hades and Persephone retelling. It's Court of Death by K.A. Knight. Now, K.A. Knight is known for her smut, so this is on the very smutty side of things, and it's so good. But I would say it's more slower burn for K.A. Knight if you've read her other books like Den of Vipers. But I really love this one. It follows Araya and Mors. Mors is the god of death, and he ends up making a deal with Araya when she's begging on her knees for her friend to be saved. And so he bargains with her and says, if you give yourself to me for 10 years, I'll save your friend. And it starts as hate, as it always does, and then it turns into liking / lusting, and then it's love, and it's just so good. Mors has never truly felt before. He's never felt emotion before. He helps people, you know, cross over and sees their life stories, and he's never really been as impacted as he was when he first met Araya, and she was truly begging to give up her life for another. So she sparks these feelings in him, and he slowly starts to fall for her, even though he does not want to. This one has a really fun push and pull between the characters, and there's more to Araya than meets the eye. She has a backstory, and we're discovering more about her as the story goes on too, and there's this overarching plot as well as just the relationship between Mors and Araya, and it was just so good. So action-packed, but also so hot. The tension in this book, you just want them to be together so bad. It kind of reads like a monster romance in that way, where Mors isn't really sure how to handle the love emotions and what goes on with that, but he sure does know how to handle her. Okay, don't get it twisted. So yeah, if you're into Hades Persephone, read that one. Thank me later. Lastly, we have perhaps the most dark on this list, which is Twisted Dares by A.R. Breck. In this one, we follow Raven, who is the daughter of a serial killer, and she is in an underground fight club kind of thing, and she really wants to learn how to fight to defend herself, but also make sure she knows how to end somebody's life. So enter Killian, I think it was. He is our unhinged hero. He's part of this fight scene. He's always the champion. So when she ends up witnessing him unaliving somebody, she really wants him to teach her how to do that. And so they start having feelings for each other, even though he had always said he can't feel, he hates women. You know, all that shit that dark romances usually have in their heroes. He's definitely a little cray-cray, but if you're into it, you're into it. And she's also living with her aunt and uncle who torture her. They're in like this religious cult. She's only still there because she wants to protect her cousin Arya. And she also has a copycat killer on the loose that's copying her dad, I think. And so that's interesting, but they're out to get her. There's a cliffhanger with this book, beware, but the next book is out, so it's fine. But yeah, that one's for if you're looking for a darker, more cult-like romance that has even more unhinged behavior. Gotta end off the list with one of those, right? So I hope that you enjoyed this recommendation video. Hopefully you found something that you want to pick up, and let me know down below what tropes you would like to see in the future, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!